Greetings, my brothers and sisters of the Secular Order of the Discalced Carmelites. It has been a long time since I've been able to make a video. I think I might have informed you, or maybe you know, that I fell quite seriously on the 2nd of October. And although I was treated in the emergency, within about 5 or 6 days, I ended up back in the hospital for 8 days because it was a combination of long-term effects of COVID that wanted to go along with some of the damage that I did to myself in the fall, in falling. And anyway, since October the 2nd, I've been in bed, and I still, although I'm in the monastery, I have a hospital bed that I have in my room, and I have a nurse 24/7 to help take care of me. And I only in the last week have I been able to get out of bed to go to the hospital for checkups. I've gone in an ambulance back and forth. But thanks be to God, I'm making some progress. And for the past week, I've been able to get out of bed a couple hours a day. But only a couple hours. It's taken me so long to get back to making these videos. They are a priority of my life. You are a priority of my life. Not that I have all the answers, or that I think I'm not much special, but I think I can help to understand what the order wants from the secular order, what the order needs from the secular order, what the world needs from the secular, what the church needs from the secular. I have trouble. I had two sets of glasses. I fell twice, and I had different pair of glasses on me at the time, and I twisted both of them, and so I can't see out of them except a little bit. So it makes it very difficult for me to read, although with an iPad I can make the letters big for the Divine Office, so I can at least say the Divine Office. But for reading books or anything, it's very difficult. I'm getting new glasses on Friday. Now about the OCDS. We're talking about the constitutions of the OCDS, and we got to number 6. But before we wanted to do number 6, because number 6 talks about the rule of St. Albert, I thought it would be a good idea to look at the rule of St. Albert. It's the most fundamental, basic inspiration, which our Holy Mother, St. Teresa, longed to see. She didn't have a copy of it initially. She didn't have a copy for years. But she longed to see it, to be able to know if she was on the right path. And we look at the same rule in a different way. We look at the same rule for the same purpose, to see if we're on the right path. So that the rule of St. Albert, which was the original inspiration of Carmelite spirituality, seek God, look for God. And so the rule helps us to put that in perspective in our lives. Now we're down to the last 3 numbers, so I hope to do those last 3 numbers in today's video. It will be a short video because I cannot talk long for much. I apologize also. I have curvature of the spine, as you might notice, and it's getting more pronounced, so it's difficult for me to keep my head up. We talk about the rule of St. Albert, and we get to the end of the rule of St. Albert. There are 3 numbers after we did the one on silence the last video, a long time ago. And the one we want to look at now is the one that's the third from the last chapter of the rule. The prior to be at the service of his brothers. You, Brother Rich Brocard, and whoever may succeed you as prior, must always keep in mind and put into practice what our Lord said in the Gospel. Whoever has a mind to become a leader among you must make himself your servant, and to the rest. And whichever of you would be first must become your bondsman. That's at least the way to have it in the rule that I'm reading. Now this is very important to understand the role of leadership. Leadership does not make you a boss. You're not the boss. If you're a leader, you're not the boss of the community. If you're a leader, if you're the superior, if you're the prioress, if you're the prior, if you're the president, you are responsible for leading by example. Leading by example of humility, leading by example of service, leading by example of prayerfulness. You're not there to control the community, you're there to serve the community. There are some people who describe or understand authority as control. That is not Carmelite, that's not according to the gospel, it's not Christian. Sure, there's some responsibility that is given to leaders, which they exercise, but they exercise it at the service of the community. We'll get into this when we go into the rule itself, when the Constitution itself, when it talks about the possibility of punishment, when it comes to disciplining or correcting the situation, correction, let's say, not punishment, but correction. It's not punishment. The only purpose for severity in the gospel is to bring people back to faith. The only purpose of discipline, the only purpose of correction is to correct, to put people back in the right place. Correction, right, the right place. Bondsman, servant. Bondsman is a slave. You work for the community. When I was provincial of Oklahoma, I said I had 50 superiors when I was provincial of Oklahoma. They were the ones. If I'm there to serve them, they tell me what I need to do. The community doesn't exist to make the president happy. The community doesn't exist to make the president comfortable. The community doesn't exist to make the president a person of high esteem. The president exists to make the community comfortable. The president exists to make the community of a high esteem. And he or she does that by leadership, and leadership is by example, not by dictates, not by words. And this is very, very, very fundamental to Carmelite life, to Christian life, because St. Albert is not quoting anybody else but the Bible, the scriptures, the gospel. What did Jesus do? Did Jesus get angry with his subject, or not his subjects, with his brothers and sisters? Yes, sometimes. Got angry with Peter. Get behind me, Satan. Got angry with the money changers in the temple. To understand the role of leadership in the community, it is important for all superiors, all priors, all prioresses, all presidents, all council members, all formators, to understand that the reason they have their position is to serve the members. Lead by example. Do not lead by words. The next number in the Constitutions, in the Rule of St. Albert, is the other side of the coin. The prior to be honored as Christ's representative. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And you, brothers, too, hold your prior in humble reverence, your minds not on him, but on Christ, who has placed him over you, and who, to those who rule the churches, address these words. Whoever pays heed to me, and whoever treats you with dishonor, dishonors me. Luke 10. If you remain so minded, you will not be found guilty of contempt, but will merit life eternal and fit reward for your obedience. Obedience is a key to so many things that will make you happy. Obedience to your president. For me, obedience to the superior of the community, obedience to the general of the order, obedience to the commissar, the provincial, the province. Obedience, saying yes when you want to say no, doing your best when you think you can't do it. That's golden. The superior, the prior, the president, for the time that they are in office, represent Christ. When they go out of office, they do not represent Christ anymore. The next person represents Christ. So we have no such thing as perpetual superiors. That's why we don't allow superiors to be repeated too many times, because it's not good. It's not good for the person herself or himself, but it's not good for the community. There's a respect that we members owe to the superior, that we members owe to the president, to the formator, to the council. Since technically speaking, your superior is not the president, your superior is the council. The president is part of the council, coordinator of the council, but not, we'll see this later, we will wait through the constitutions more thoroughly. So, on the one hand, we have the idea prior, the president, the council is there to serve the community. On the other hand, we have the idea that the members owe the council respect, not the president. Again, this will become clear when we do the constitutions. The president's not the boss. The council is the superior of the community. The council, I'll repeat that, the council is the superior of the community. The president is the coordinator of the council. Whatever responsibilities he or she has that are given to her, he or she as a person, are given to her because of that position. But they're very few. Everything's decided by the council. So the council's there to serve. The members respect the council. Where that happens, communities grow in number and in holiness. Where that doesn't happen, communities do not grow either in number or holiness. Because people come in, if they come in and they see a divided community, they don't want to join a divided community. They don't want to join a community where members gossip about each other. They don't want to join a community where there's disrespect shown to those who are supposed to be the leaders of the community. No, the community won't grow. The community will not grow. You can do that in the office. You can do that at work, or Monday to Friday, or Saturday. But you don't want to go to a meeting where that happens. You don't want to go to a church meeting where that happens. You don't want to go to a community meeting where that happens. So, leaders lead by example and service. Members cooperate with respect. That describes how the community should function. No matter if it's a community of seculars, or nuns, or friars. Where it works, it works. When it doesn't work, it's terrible. Then the last number of this Rule of St. Albert is just the epilogue. But it contains a jewel, a real jewel. He's summing up the Rule of St. Albert. St. Albert is summing up what he's just written. Here are the few points I've written down to provide you with standard of conduct to live up to, but our Lord at His second coming will reward anyone who does more than is obliged to, so that the bounds of common sense are not to be exceeded. However, for common sense is the guide of the virtues. See to it that the bounds of common sense are not exceeded. However, for common sense is the guide of the virtues. In some translations it says prudence is the guide of the virtues. Common sense, prudence is common sense. Here are a few points I have given to you to provide you with the standard of conduct to live up to. But our Lord at His second coming will reward anyone who does more than He is obliged to do. So, the Lord, if you do more than you're obliged to do, wonderful. But see that the bounds of common sense are not exceeded. However, for common sense is the guide of the virtues. If you, for example, one example I use constantly. I know a nun in a monastery in the United States who was the cook of the community for many, many years. She was a lay sister when they had lay sisters, and then she wore a white veil. The lay sisters wore white veils, and then they changed. Every sister became a choir sister, so she wore a black veil. But she was the cook for many years of the community. And she would always go to the prioress and say to her about a novice or a junior sister, or a simply professed sister, who wanted to fast. She would say, send her home. If she wants to fast, she doesn't want to work. We need workers around here. She had an excellent point. If you're a mother and you have family to take care of, and you're a second order member, and you decide to fast, a real hard fast, and you get so tired that you can't take care of your family, you have to nap or sleep, or if you pray when you're supposed to be cooking, or if you're a man and you take a day off to go make a retreat, you take a day off from work, then you take 2 days off from work to make a 2-day retreat and a 3-day retreat. And it affects your relations with your work partners. It affects your relation with your family. That's not common sense. Common sense, if you ask me, common sense is to do what you're supposed to do to the best of your ability each day. Look for extras where it's possible, but don't go chasing after extras. There's no need for that. If you keep to the obligations that are set down in your constitutions, if you keep simply to those obligations, you will do well. You'll be a saint. So what St. Albert is saying here is that common sense is the guide of all the virtues. It's very, very fundamental and important to remember. We become holy because of what God does for us. What we do for God is a response to what God does for us. If prayer, as St. Teresa says, is spending time with the one whom we know loves us, it's not spending time with the one that we love. It's the one that's we're spending time with the one who knows loves us. God does for us. So the Rule of St. Albert fundamentally wants to keep our focus. Seek God. So that'll end here, and that will end the discussion on the Rule of St. Albert. Thank you very much for your patience, and those who have been sending me messages. I'm glad to get back in the saddle again. Yeah, but you never know how long the ride's going to last. When I was younger, on Saturday Night Live, there was I forget her name, Rosanna Donna, or something like that. Gilda Radner was a comedian's name. And she had a thing on Saturday Night Live, she had a spot on Saturday Night Live, and this is in the 1980s. And she said, "It's always something." Well, that's the way I sort of feel like it's always something. Anyway, God bless you. Spread the word to your companions, your friends who are subscribers to this channel, that for better or for worse, I'm back. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Like if you like. Then, of course, you can make any comment, and I'll try to get back to you. I have trouble reading right at this present time, but I'm happy to be able to get back to these videos. God bless you.